Hello everyone, welcome back. And in this video, we'll talk about data types in VBScript. VBScript has only one main data type, and that is variant. And within variant, we have a bunch of data types which will help us to handle or work with different situations like integers, double, currency, date, etc. Now, if you remember, when we were declaring variables, all we were doing is dim and then said, say for example, str city. We're declaring a variable and then we are saying that that particular variable equal to and passing some string, say for example, New York. And if you look at it, in these two lines, we never said if the variable was a string or if it was an integer, etc. We never specified. Then how does VB know that this is a string? Well, VB will take a best guess. I mean, it will pretty much do a good job. It will look at the value and know that it is a string. But programmatically, how do we determine that a given variable is a string or a date or a currency, etc.? Well, that is what we are going to look at. So before we jump in, let us take a look at the return codes. What are return codes? So we have a function called var type, and that function, when used, what it does is it will return a value based on the type. So this function, when you check a variable, right, some variable, it will return one of these values depending on the data that it is holding. Say for example, if it is a string, what you get is 8, and say if it is a currency, what you get is this, you get 6, and if it is a date, it will return 7. Okay, let us jump in and write some code, see how it works, and we'll run a couple of data types here. Here is a sample script. All I have is a bunch of variables, and then I have some values here and I have a simple line of code here. So it looks like I already have these lines. So anyway, let's start with a string. I'm going to copy this, paste it here, and it says the result equal to var type, and we are using this variable, and then all we are doing is printing whatever the value that result will have, because this should return something to this variable and we can print it out. So let us quickly run it. What we have is 8, and 8 means it is a string. Let me switch it to array and let me paste it here, and for arrays it's 8192, and let us run this. What we have is 8204. Why is that? So when it comes to arrays, what happens is we were expecting it to be 8192. I'm going to copy that, plus it will compute this plus VB variant, which is 12 plus 12. When you add those numbers up, what you get is 8204. So that is what you will get for arrays. We remove that. Now, say for example, we know that this now, of course, we haven't discussed the now function, but for now, let us take this into consideration. Now is a function that returns the current date and time stamp. So this will hold the date and time. I'm going to paste it here and see what will happen. What it gave is number 7, and number 7 is the date. And not just that, we can actually add more intelligence into it, meaning we can actually use these strings itself. I mean, for that, we will have to use if condition, and I haven't discussed if yet, but follow along with me. It's pretty easy. I'm going to say if. I'm going to say that I'm going to copy this and say if this is equal to what? We're going to say this is date, VB date. If that is the case, then we're going to say VBScript.echo. We'll just print it's a date. It's a date type. And we'll need to end it. Okay, so this is the if conditional statement. I know we haven't discussed it, but follow along. It's pretty simple. If this condition, then you want to print this. See, this thing will return. It's a start date, so that should return number 7. And we are using VB date, which is, as you can see, it's a global constant with a value of 7. So this will be 7 when it's actually comparing it. So if you were to run the script, it says it's a date. It's a date type. So that's how we can do. I want to keep it simple. I do not want to go beyond this. We can visit var type as we go along the course and use it. But the fundamental concept that I'm trying to teach here is that VB has only one data type, which is variant, and variant has various data types. And we can validate the variables before we can use it for processing within our code using the var type. And if it is of the type that you're expecting, then you can proceed. If not, you can throw an error or prompt the user to enter the right value. Say, for example, you want to add 2 numbers and you're throwing an input box to the user. You can pretty much force the user to enter a number there. If they enter the string, you can validate it, spring back and say, hey, you have entered a string, we are expecting a number. You can do that. Well, that's it. So I just want to cover this variant type and show you how you can find it. And I believe, we are done with this lecture. Well, guys, that's it in this lecture. I'll see you in the next.